Well, one of the things I like to do on Mondays, I've done this for a long, long time, because a lot of people feel far too much. You get over your skis one way or another. So what I try to do is bring some cold reality to all those feelings. And that's why I call it overreactions, which are happening a lot. I mean, there's a lot, I got to tell you, there's a lot of people getting over their skis right now. I call this overreactions versus reality. Ready? Overreaction. Dak Prescott is the NFL MVP right now. Reality. No, but he's really, really close. I'm happy with the argument, and I'm about to make some of the arguments right now. But if I had to say right now, there's a vote that's cast. I think he's really close, but probably not the MVP. That could change in a week. The only reason why Dak Prescott is not the runaway MVP, by the way, wasn't I saying over the past couple of years, you blame the guy for everything. You blame him for everything from tariffs to world hunger. When you keep him upright, he's a great player, period. It's not really been debatable. But the only reason why he's not the runaway MVP right now is only because Baker Mayfield has a highlight reel play every single week. Not that Dak Prescott doesn't. He does. These two guys are off the charts great right now. But I'm just saying that I think right now, if there was a vote taken, Baker Mayfield would be the MVP. His team is 5-1, and I do think it matters. But here's what Dallas has. And Cowboys fans, I'm going to tell you, and I know you're not capable of doing this. You're incapable of having any objectivity whatsoever. But I think you're going to get over your skis. But I'm going to tell you this. Here's what Dallas has offensively. Okay? It's an offense now that has scored 40 or more points in 3 games, and that's the first time an NFL team has done so since 1973. And here's why they're so ridiculously good on offense. It's an offensive line that is good to really good and getting better every single week. They got a home run right there with their offensive line, and they got a home run with young players. They've done a masterful job with their offensive line. CeeDee Lamb, guess what? He's being CeeDee Lamb. The dude outworks everyone. And then, if you want to give credit to the old man that runs the team, the George Pickens signing could be the difference in a season. It really could. George Pickens is an all-pro right now and might be the best deep threat in the NFL today. All that stuff is good. Dallas has the top offense in the NFL. Dak Prescott leads the league in passing. He has never been better. He's the clubhouse leader along with Baker Mayfield for MVP. I mean, you can compile a list, but those two guys could be separating themselves. Dak Prescott, even Drake May in New England, maybe even Bijan Robinson, maybe even Christian McCaffrey. But I think if the season starts today, it's Dak Prescott and Baker Mayfield. You can flip a coin. They're both been that good. Overreaction. Yep. See, Cowboys fans, this is when you do that thing where you get over your skis. This is when you need somebody like me with no feelings at all about this to say you've got to pump the brakes. You act like the old man that owns the team. Overreaction. Your Dallas Cowboys are a playoff team. But Jeff, shut up. Shut up again. You see, you're doing the thing you always do. You're like Texas fans. You think you're the greatest team ever or the worst team ever. Reality. Pump the brakes. Don't do the Cowboys fan thing where you get way, way, way over your skis. Cowboys fans believe when it goes right for Dallas, and offensively, it's never, well, arguably, I don't know of a time, I honestly don't know of another time a Dallas offense has been better. I really don't. And that's saying a lot. But see, that's not the whole game. I know you want it to be the only game, the whole game, but it's not that way at all. The Dallas offensively is off the charts. But don't forget, it is also a team that is among the worst. In fact, They are next to last in defense. And yes, it catches up with you. Yes, it is the buzzkill. Defense is the buzzkill. Okay, so I'm going to pour some water on the playoff buzz. I'm not saying it's impossible. Okay, I'll help you out a little bit here, but I got to pour some water on this. Their wins, Dallas's wins, are over the pathetic Jets, who don't really play tackle football. The Giants, who are like a psychotic mess, and a Washington team that had to play half without Jaden Daniels. Okay, I'm not saying these aren't wins, but settle down. Okay, the team that held Washington to 22 points, and I know that's what you're going to do. That's what the owner of the team is doing right now, saying, look at us, look at us. We've reinvented ourselves. I don't know about that yet. I'm not a buyer yet. They held Washington to 22 points. I know you're going to say, see, Jeff, look at the scoreboard, but that's the same team that held Washington to 22 points at home that's not that far removed from losing to Carolina. You lost to Carolina. Okay? You were blown out by the Bears. So you can think what you want about their record, but you can't hide from the reality that it's a Dallas defense that's among the worst in the NFL. And no matter how good Dak Prescott plays, and there's everything great about their offense, no doubt, he won't be able to overcome trash defense often enough. They know that. You may not care to know that, but that's the way it works. Dallas is number one in offense. In fact, strangely enough, lapping the field offensively. But they're also near the bottom. I think they're now 31 of 32 in defense. And I don't know if we've ever had a team that was number one in offense and dead last in defense. But in the end, the defense catches up with you. You can't have shelf life if you suck on defense. And you're going to say, but Jeff, see, 22 points, that's a one-off. Okay? Let's wait a little while before you want to call them the steel curtain or something. Look, there's a lot to like, and it's a lot of fun. Look, Dallas is, you have to watch. I mean, it's entertaining as heck. But I think you need to pump the brakes on the playoff talk until you think if they could just be bad on defense, that's a playoff team. They just can't suck on defense. It'll catch up with them. Jaden Daniels of Washington limped off the field. I know, you held him to 22 points, but he missed off an entire half. To be a playoff team, it's as simple as this. Dak Prescott has to be healthy all the time. Those receivers have to be healthy all the time. He has to keep up his insane-like MVP run. And as you've seen already in the season, that is impossible to do, even for a guy that's playing at the level that he's playing. There are going to be bad days, especially when you're on the road. Now, here you go, Cowboys fans. Here's the upside. It's not a crazy idea that they could be a playoff team. It's not nuts. You just don't really have any objectivity. What they have left on their schedule, I think, is on their side. And that is they get the Cardinals, they get the melting down Las Vegas Raiders, who I have no idea how they ended up as bad as they are, but they're a mess. The underachieving Vikings, then they get the Giants again. So that stuff works in your favor. All right, he must be on interview number 7,000 this week. The old man that runs the team is Jerry Jones, and he is giddy.
You don't think I'd miss this, do you? Well, that was an exciting room in there, and they should be excited. Obviously, every Cowboy fan should be excited how that defense played. And they really did some impressive things out there. Credit goes to head coach, who spent a lot of time on that side of the ball this week, along with Flus, and make an adjustment. Certainly gives us a lot of hope as we look to the future as to how this defense can play as we evolve. It looks like we came out pretty clean on injury. And, of course, I cannot say enough about Dak Prescott and his play throughout the game. It really was the confidence throughout the game that he demonstrated that make you think we were there all the time. So, big win.
Hey, the old man, it's not very often that you get to say this. It's not often that I say it because I think he's really bad at his job. But he has every right to be giddy at that moment. I agree. Fans, you face painters, you have every right to be giddy at this moment. Just watch out when you have to play defense again. Just watch out. One game does not make you a good defensive team. But for now, it's all good. It's all good. Reality. We add a reality to the Cowboys. Here's the thing. It is not Jerry Jones' style, as you've learned during the offseason. But he had better. His son had better. Whoever handles the paperwork in that operation, you had better contractually lock down Brandon Aubrey right now. You need to get on that now. You and his agent should be talking now. It's not, we've learned now in the offseason that it's not the way Jerry Jones likes to work. You now know how he likes to work. You call me, you come suck up to me, I'm the boss around here. You old man, you fool. You had better go and start talking to this guy and his agent now. Brandon Aubrey is a generational talent to go with one of the best offenses in football. And if the old man were smart, and he's not smart when it comes to contracts, he's a little outdated and it doesn't work and it backfired, he would have had one good defensive player had he not acted the way he did during the offseason. Do not do it with the best friend your offense has, and that's Brandon Aubrey. And I'll explain to you why he's your best friend. Even Tom Brady with his brand, I feel like his head is getting bigger. Have you noticed that? He's got a Cro-Magnon forehead now. What kind of facial work is this man doing? Tom Brady made a very good point about the Dallas offense yesterday, what it has done to the game. The smart thing to do is to work on a deal now with Brandon Aubrey's agent. Get it done now. Lock in Brandon Aubrey now. Think about this. When Dallas gets to midfield, honestly, not even midfield, they're in scoring range. He's turned the game into a 50-yard game. He's turned the field into a short field. He's cut it in half for points. And Brady made the point yesterday, in between bad jokes and cliches and the usual Brady garbage. But he made the point, and it's exactly right. You understand what pressure that takes off your offense. You're in the midfield, you got 3 points. Worst case, you got 3 points. He already holds the NFL record now for 60-yard plus field goals. I think he's at 5 now. I want you to think about something. He's broken the record for 60-yard plus field goals already, and he's not even 3 years into his career. He's not even officially 2.5 years into his career. He is going to make a field goal or more from 70. I don't think it's outrageous to say that he could make a 75-yard field goal. You know how we know that? Because he made one from 61 that hit the middle of the net yesterday, and I thought the Fox crew was right when Kevin Burkhardt said, I think that may have been good from 80 yards. That's your offense's best friend. You better sign him and lock him down now. He made from 61, easily would have been good from 73 to 75. Now listen to these ridiculous stats for a guy 2.5 years in. I don't even know why like a day goes by without Dallas saying, we're working on this. We're working on this. We're working on this. I think it's crazy to let that guy keep increasing his value for the offseason because they're going to be standing at the line to sign him. I mean, it's going to be a line out the door. He's 15 of 15 this year. He has field goals of 61, 53, 53, 64, and 53. Like they're nothing. Last year, he was 40 of 47. In his first year in the NFL, he was 36 of 38. Justin Tucker was the best to ever play the position. Brandon Aubrey is on his way to being better. He's 2.5 years into a remarkable career that is reinventing the position. And as Brady pointed out, it's reinventing the field. It's flipped the field. You can now coach and call plays for 55 yards or less. We're about to find out Here's why I bring this up. I think we're about to find out if Jerry Jones has learned anything from his awful handling of the Micah Parsons contract. We're about to find out. Because if that's really what he believes, you are fools, because the guy's going to get paid the biggest payday the position has ever seen. You are nuts, old man, to not sign this guy right away. And the person who should be knocking on your door, who might be the NFL MVP, is probably saying, hey, old man, don't do this again. Get this guy signed now for the next several years. As long as I'm here, I want that guy cutting this field in half. That's what should happen. See what Jones does. Just watch. We're going to find out if he's learned anything from his bad experience this summer. Overreaction. Texas is still very much alive in the SEC. Reality. Don't go there. Stop it. Just stop. Don't say that stuff. Okay? No. Not right now. But Jeff, Texas did beat Kentucky. You know what? Not really. Nah. I wouldn't even mention it if I'm on the Texas side. No, you don't get this one. You're not going to get much of a pass right now. Steve Sarkisian better not, and so far he is not. I'll say that. But he had better not snap at the media this week, and he had better not. And I think this is I think the dynamic is interesting now. I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room. He had better not defend the play of Arch Manning. I'm not saying you have to throw him under the bus, but you need to probably bite your lip on that stuff of defending him all the time publicly, or any part of his offense. Don't try and don't say it again. I bet he said it 30 times leading up to the Kentucky-Texas game. Don't do that thing where you say, whoa, it's tough on the SEC on the road at night. Don't do that. Okay? Texas was outplayed by the worst team in the SEC and only scored more points than the worst team in the SEC because the worst team in the SEC has a coach dumb enough. Okay? That's a bad mix. Dumb coach, bad team. But the only reason why Texas beat the worst team in the SEC is because the worst team in the SEC has a coach who's dumb enough to not kick short field goals. That's the only reason why they won. And if you say something else, I think you're a fool. They're a 12.5-point favorite, and Texas should have lost to the worst team in the SEC 19-16. The only reason why Texas is not a 4-loss team already is because they played a collection of the worst teams in the sport. UTEP, San Jose State, Sam Houston State, and Kentucky. That's the only thing standing between them and being a 4-loss team. There is no night games or tough in the SEC spinning allowed at this point. Stop. The numbers of Steve Sarkisian's offense match. If you could watch the game, and honestly, it was pretty unwatchable. It's just bad football. I mean, no one would fault anyone for saying, I'm going to move along now and do my nails or something. But the offense matched. The stats match the eyeball test, right? You don't have to be a football expert to go, that's a bad pass. Woof. That's some bad running. So the data backs up the eyeball test. Kentucky, the worst offense in the SEC, came into the Texas game 109 out of 136 in offense, 114th in passing, 128 of 136 in passing efficiency, 111 in passing yards allowed. Now think about that. You can't throw on that trash team at all. Texas couldn't throw on one of the worst teams against the pass in the sport. Again. But the worst team in the SEC, who was among the worst in all of college football, outplayed the offensive genius of Steve Sarkisian and his $7 million quarterback with a total offense of $395 to $179. The worst team in the SEC outrushed the billion-dollar franchise 137 to 47, and in time of possession 39-23 to 20 minutes and 37 seconds. Usually that time of possession thing really tells you if you can push in the offensive line or not, and they cannot. How bad is the Kentucky defense? Well, it's almost as bad as the Kentucky offense. Let's see. Kentucky was number 15, next to last in the SEC in defense going into the Texas game. They were giving up almost 28 points a game. There is no spinning. It is exactly as bad as it looks, and I'm going to go ahead and put comma again. There is an elephant in the room, I think. So, reality. No matter how the billion-dollar franchise tries to spin it, and so far they haven't, and credit to Steve Sarkisian for just getting in your lane and owning it. The reality is barely scoring more points than the worst team in the SEC. It's not a one-off. I don't know when objective people, anyone that studies the science of football, I don't know when you want to say that's the body of work. But you're getting there, okay? This is no longer, well, it's his first game. Oh, well, it's his first night game. You know, all this, there's no more of that, okay? Stop. You got to stop that stuff. It's just stupid. You're getting enough data points now. You know, the data is starting to build up. The body of work is starting to build up. Okay, Texas has not had or could have. I'm saying I think the body of work is there. They have a bad offensive line, and they have a bad quarterback. The data doesn't lie. 12 of 27 for 132 yards passing. That's against the worst, next to worst defense and the worst pass defense in the SEC. 5 of 16 on third downs. 47 yards rushing. It's just over 3 yards a play against the second worst defense in the league. Somehow, the worst team in the league managed to not even win with a ridiculous 26 first downs. Kentucky had 26 first downs, but I can tell you why they couldn't win, because their coach is stupid. That's why. Like, if I look at a chart and I think somebody had 26 first downs and the other team had 9, I would think, wow, you won by 10 points. But then you would say, no, Jeff, you're not counting the fact that their coach is stupid. You are a moron, sir. You live in a weird world, because if you just kick field goals, if I hear another coach get away with some airhead reporter saying, well, the chart says, there is no chart, because if you kick the field goals, you're the worst team in the league who beat Texas. If you just kick. Fool. You fool. Now, I'll say this. Texas can break out and obviously break open a game on special teams. And truthfully, that's why they scored 3 more points than the worst team in the SEC. That's why. That's the only reason why. Plus, did I add the other coach is stupid. Reality. The Texas quarterback, and I know this is impossible for a lot of people, but I'll do what I can to go at it this way. The name on the jersey doesn't matter. Okay, take it off. Their quarterback, the starter for Texas, is a liability. It's the elephant in the room. I'm willing to listen to somebody say, yep, doesn't look good. The data points, the body of work doesn't look good. But Jeff, and I'm not suggesting you panic, and I'm not suggesting you throw the quarterback for Texas under the bus. I'm just saying it's now a problem, and it's very noticeable. The body of work at this point indicates a real concern at quarterback. The play calling, much like it has been a few different times this season, indicates to me, and you'll notice this at various times, particularly on important downs, when a coach should be saying, I'm giving the ball to my quarterback. I'm giving the keys to my quarterback. 3rd and 8, I give it to my quarterback. We're playing a terrible pass defense. We can't run the ball. Hey, quarterback, here are the keys. Notice how many times in crucial situations the keys are taken away. There's a 3rd and 8. You're on the road, blah, blah, blah. It's tough at night, like it's Halloween or something. You're on the road. You got 3rd and 8. You haven't run the ball at all. I believe at the time that I was so hard to watch that game, I can't remember when I marked it. But Texas faced a 3rd and 8, and they went off tackle with the quarterback run and got stuffed. That's an indicator. That's an indicator. a team that hadn't run for 30 yards against the second worst defense in the SEC. A defense had given up. Think about this. Texas played a team that had given up 70 points and 800 yards in the last 2 games. And you won't throw it? You don't let them throw it? You got 12 completions? So they only converted 5 third downs all night or something like that. That's worrisome. Okay? Against the worst team in the SEC with the second worst defense in the SEC, Texas had 8 first downs, 179 yards in total offense. Okay, you ready for it? That is the lowest offensive total against Kentucky. They suck at football, okay? That's the lowest offensive total against Kentucky since Vanderbilt in 2014. And you're a $1 billion franchise with a $7 million quarterback. And you won't even throw it. Let this sink in. And I know how YouTube blows up. I'm backing everything up I'm saying with some data. I by the end of the year, this is a real concern, I think. Arch Manning will be the second best quarterback on the field. Tell me I'm wrong. Feel free to argue. Okay? Feel free to argue. He'll be the second best quarterback on the field in all. I'm saying all of the remaining games Texas has this season. He'll be the second best quarterback on the field. And that includes current starters at both Mississippi State and Arkansas. Tell me I'm wrong. Gunnar Stockton of Georgia. He's a first-year starter because I hear all the time. And so, some of it, there's some merit to it. There's merit to the arguments. Hey, look, guys start slow. It makes sense. Guys are uncomfortable. It makes sense. Gunnar Stockton at Georgia, a first-year starter who had thrown fewer passes than Arch Manning going into this season. Okay? I'm sure allegedly he was supposed to start slow. Allegedly he was supposed to be struggling. He doesn't get, there's too much pressure on him, that kind of stuff. He's playing at Georgia. Okay? This year, he's thrown for just under 1,600 yards with 1 interception. He has a quarterback rating of 151. In a schedule that has featured teams, okay, ready? Teams ranked 80th or worse. 4 of the teams that Texas has played are 80th or worse. At one point, they were 125 or worse. Arch Manning has thrown 5 interceptions. He has a quarterback ranking that is 75th. 75th. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. And I don't argue with somebody that says, oh, it's not the time. Okay, that's cool. I'm just saying the data points are really starting to stack up. And I think they stack up even more when you think about what I said. Texas will have the second best quarterback on the field in every single game they play the rest of the way. They've only had the better quarterback in just a couple of games this year. The better quarterback on the field has been at Ohio State, at UTEP, at Kentucky, of all places, already. So it may not be the time, but the body of work by Arch Manning is very concerning, bordering. If you're not in that panic mode, then don't go panic. That's cool. You want to let it play out? I get that. But it is very concerning, and the data is starting to stack up. If it doesn't improve dramatically, you look into next year thinking, what do you do? Is that position up for grabs? And yes, it is relevant to mention it now. You don't have to throw him under the bus now. You don't have to give the keys to someone else because I think you can't, and Steve Sarkisian is tied to Arch Manning. So I get why you wouldn't do that, but don't think for a single second that it's not an issue. It is the elephant in the room. Overreaction. Texas Tech. Oh, boy. What a buzzkill. Texas Tech is done in the Big 12. Reality. I'd still pick them. I would. I know it's a buzzkill because that was a team that was beating everyone by more than 24 points. I mean, they were off to a historic start. Now, some of that is competition. But, and there was a but for Texas Tech. The margin of error has just disappeared because now you have none. Texas Tech still has everything in front of them. Here's the problem. This is why the margin of error, I'm not saying is small. I'm saying the margin of error is now gone. It's completely gone. The selection committee may not put, and you know I hate the selection committee process. I think it sucks. I think it is biased. I think it is the wrong way to do this entire thing, but that's not the way things work. The selection committee may not put 2 Big 12 teams in the college football playoff. Tech has to win out. They have to win out. A 2-loss Big 12 team is not going to get in the tournament. So you could run the table and get to the championship and lose in the championship. You're not going to get in. I don't think that committee wants any part of a 2-loss Big 12 team. They have to run the table. And their season is defined now by a 2-game stretch. A road game against Kansas State and a home game, I think it's a home game against BYU. Now, circle all the way back, all the talk about the payroll and all that stuff and all the money spent and all that stuff, which is fine. When they started the year, the litmus test, right, the bar was set at it's Big 12 championship game or bust. And some people argued it's Big 12 championship or bust. When you outspend everybody else in the sport, you ought to put a trophy in the case. So just keep that in mind because now they have to run the table. I think they might be able to do it. I do. I'm not selling Tech yet on getting into the playoff. I'm not selling Tech yet on not winning the league. But they now, with a loss against Arizona State on the road, they now have wiped out any margin of error. So it is must win all the way through, I think, to get in the tournament, which is how Joey McGuire, we were told, was going to be measured. Hey, here's a recommendation backed up by my own experience, a great experience. And that is, I've been a client of DJC Law, and I can tell you this. You're going to get 3 things with DJC Law. You'll notice it right away. The difference is you will get peace of mind. They will take care of every single detail perfectly, and you will get the result you deserve. If you're injured by the negligence of someone else, fighting with an insurance company for any reason, trust me when I tell you, you will need DJC Law. Dan Christensen and his team of attorneys have a remarkable track record. I've known Dan a long time. He's a military vet. He's board certified in civil trial law, and I've been a client. So you can trust them. You will get the result you deserve. Check out teamjustice.com, and you'll see thousands of 5-star reviews. The bottom line is, if you're in an accident, you need DJC Law. Contact them right away. 512-888-9999.